How important is the national budget in sustaining growth and reducing poverty incidents? Will the country sustain its pace of growth and development until the end of the president's term? And joining us tonight on NewsLife is Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis, Chairman Emeritus of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, sir. Welcome to NewsLife. Sir, to start us off, now, how important is government spending to the growth of the economy, especially in infrastructure development?
Well, you will notice that whenever the government underspend, at least during the first year of the administration, our growth was not really that much. But when they started trying to pick up the spending, we even succeeded in having a 7.2 growth at that time, no? And when medyo bumagal yung infrastructure, yung PPPs natin, yung mga big infrastructure program, talaga everybody was saying that development is not going to be that much. And hopefully, I think they're planning really to fast track now, no? They're trying to roll out some of the big ones. And I hope that if they can sustain this, because among others, it generates employment, and it generates the downstream industries also.
Now, talking about that, sir, now over the next 3 years, the government will be spending 5% of GDP. As you said, will that increase employment, and also will it help reduce poverty?
Well, it depends on which budget we're talking about, no? If we're talking about the CCT, I think it's going to reduce poverty, but it's not going to create jobs. And I think a big portion of the budget is going there, no? Unfortunately, I think there's some lopsidedness in the budget. No? For instance, the budget, I don't know now in the new budget, but in 2013, the budget of the Department of Trade and Industry was in the vicinity of 3 billion plus yata, no? And part of that is yung for export development, which is about 500 million. Yung 7 agencies,
yes.
Yung SITEM, BITR, Design Center, BATP, and you know, yung 500 million na yun, 80% of that goes to salaries and administrative expense. So actually, what they're spending really net sa exporter is 100 million. And you know, export is producing half of the economy, almost half of the economy, and trillions, and you're allocating 100 million. Buti na lang, somehow yung DOST merong binibigay, yung Department of Agriculture, they spend for agricultural export. But the budget of DTI now is not even 5% of CCT.
Now, having said that, sir, now, how active is the communication of the business sector with the government in terms of, like what you're saying, the lopsidedness of budget? Now, how do you communicate this in terms of trying to help the government in helping in the budget on how to help the economy as well?
Well, when invited, private sector put the inputs during the budget hearings, but they seldom invite us. Not on the budget hearing. On the legislative matters, they do. But on the budget sometimes we are invited by certain industries. Certain sectors are invited by the department pertaining to them to be the resource people. But as I was saying, in the budget hearing of DTI, I understand binawasan pa. And you know, the Department of Trade is in charge of export, in charge of domestic enterprises, yung employment basically, you know.
Now, how does that affect local business and foreign investments coming in?
Well, it is no wonder our attraction of foreign direct investment is so slow. Aside from, well, of course, that's not the only reason. No? But we are in the league of Cambodia and Myanmar as far as foreign direct investment, way below even by Vietnam, who has overtaken us the last 3 years already.
But looking at the growth of the economy in the past years, and also the thrust of the government to help in terms of building more infrastructures? Like, let's say, what is the impact of building more of the roads and the bridges in the countryside in trying to enhance the country's competitiveness and trying to bring in more foreign investments, especially in manufacturing?
Well, certainly, infrastructure is something that is a must if you are going to go forward.
But
with
we
your
are seeing a
economy.
lot of that happening now.
There's a lot of that happening now, but there are other reasons why foreign direct investment is not coming in. No? It's not only that, but it's a must.
Yeah.
You don't expect foreign direct investment to come in if your infrastructure is not there. But there are still some other policies that are we're being watched.
But do you see us gaining ground in terms of competitiveness? And what kind of prospects do you see with our economy now in this year and next year?
Well, I don't think anybody, except perhaps the like of Singapore and Malaysia, are really ready for ASEAN integration. I think we're almost as good as the tariffs, the number one thing. The tariff is already what, more than 99% already down, no? Yes. So there's very little to expect in tariff. But integration is not just about tariffs, no? A month ago, Thailand did a Thailand week here. Thailand week, and that was the second in a period of 6 months. And in spite of the political people that was going on, they were having a Thailand week here. And last week, or this week, there is a delegation of Thailand that met with our businessmen. You can see the effort and the budget that they're allocating to this.
Now, looking at this, sir, now, what lessons can we take out from this from our ASEAN neighbors they as well are preparing for the ASEAN integration? Now, what can we do to actually propel us and become more prepared?
What we have been saying is let's allocate real budget and get inputs from our private sector and how to spend this and how to improve our manufacturing. One of the things that where we are behind is really, our micro and small industries, major and small industries, is about 99.4 of our enterprises. Less than 1% are the big ones, but the banks are all lending the big ones.
Not the small
Underbank, the underbank and now we're even letting foreign banks to come in. I don't know why. They are certainly going to give credit or no. They will just compete with the universal and commercial bank of ours. No?
Now, having said that, what changes are needed for us to actually elevate us to the next level?
We passed a law, the Magna Carta, which was the amended law that lapsed 13 years ago. So we passed an amended one 3 years ago, and it has not worked. It has not worked because it was subverted by some implementing rules and regulation. And until now, we're really asking the legislators to have their legislative oversight to be to correct that, because our neighbors have corrected their lending to their small enterprises. We have not. We are still talking about it.
So now, finally, sir, now, how is the wave of optimism in the business sector as we progress into the ASEAN integration?
Well, the business mood is still okay, I think businessmen are hopeful because, Filipinos are very flexible. But we certainly would like to have some safety nets like what our counterparts have in order to prepare our enterprises. And certainly, and that's why I was saying, maybe yung budget natin is not geared towards that. Because other priority, our budget system is such that increase ka na increase to sa iba, and yung iba na you're preparing for, hindi naman gumagalaw, or maliit na talaga, the base is small, even if there is a big responsibility that is going to be done. Unless we really learn to do that, I think our neighbor will be have an advantage over us.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us here tonight at NewsLife. That was Mr. Sergio Ortiz-Luis, Chairman Emeritus of the PCCI. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.